Latvia is holding a national referendum Saturday on whether Russian should become a second official language. But it's unlikely to succeed, even though the Russian minority, which makes up a third of the population, are feeling ever more discriminated against in the place they call home. RT's Alexei Yaroshevsky reports from Latvia.
Valery from Latvia's Russian minority says his country's government has gone too far. Having lived in Latvia all his life, it was only recently that he managed to exchange a temporary residence permit to a full passport. But now this father of three faces another hurdle for his family, this time aimed at his children and their education.
They passed the legislation that in Russian schools, 60% of the lessons must be taught in Latvian language. But excuse me, chemistry, biology and physics, it's difficult to get it even in your own language, and it does create a lot of problems for the students at the moment, and of course it does lowers their results.
It was the threat that these schools where at least some lessons are taught in their native Russian would be closed down for good that scared the Russian minority, which constitutes 1/3 of the country's population. They initiated a referendum on making Russian Latvia's second state language, something radical right-wing parties call a threat to national integrity.
This vote is against our constitution, which says Latvia is a mononational state and will always be it. It splits our society, which has to have one solid foundation. If you want Latvia to be like Russia, then why not going to Russia instead and leave us be?
At least 750,000 people must vote yes for a constitutional change to take place. But with support predicted to be just half, that seems to be unlikely. The outcome, however, could have been different if another 320,000 residents were allowed to vote. Those are ethnic Russians whose parents and grandparents came here after 1945. They were denied citizenship after Latvia became independent and are still carrying alien passports. The newly appointed Council of Europe's Commissioner for Human Rights believes the vote will not solve the discrimination problem and that it's Riga's handling of the Russian community that should be changed.
You have the human rights aspect of stateless children being born in Latvia. There's clear norms in the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Every child has a right to citizenship from birth. Regulating language use in the private sphere, this also has human rights implications. It raises issues of proportionality. Here I think that things should be reviewed.
Though it is widely accepted here that the Russian language referendum will fail, the Russian minority hopes that the vote will bring their struggle out of the shadows and force the government to at least open a dialogue. Latvia's Russians are contemplating another vote to introduce changes into the citizenship law, that is to abolish the so-called alien passports and grant citizenship to those who are living without it. And many say in this case they have a good chance of succeeding, as they would only need a little more than 200,000 positive votes. Alexei Yaroshevsky, RT, reporting from Riga in Latvia.